Hey, what's going on, boys? It's your boy Nico here. And today, as the title has shown, we're doing What If Sakura Had the Tenseigan. May have butchered that, may have not, but yeah. And if you wanna give me video ideas, do that in the comments down below. I'm gonna be making a Twitter soon if you guys wanna make fan art of me. And yeah, let's talk about the what if. So first off, Sakura is gonna have to be Uzumaki and Hyuga to actually get the Tenseigan. So she's gonna be that. We're gonna be changing her parents, her dad the Uzumaki, and her mom the Hyuga. Now, her mom is gonna be like off from the side branch, so she's not gonna have the mark. And sorry if I forget a few things. I'm just going off the top of my head and haven't watched Shippuden yet, so may do some stuff wrong, but yeah, let's get into the video. Roll intro. Mizuki would give birth to Sakura and hold her child. But Sakura would soon open her eyes, and they would notice that her eyes looked different. They had pupils, and Hyugas are not supposed to have pupils. They would question this, but would just think it's a genetic off thing of the eyes of a Hyuga. And everything would go around normal in Sakura's life until the age of 4, where they would notice that Sakura had a great potential. She was training, doing Hyuga techniques. This confused Mabuki greatly. She had not used any techniques in front of her daughter. And she would go up and ask her how she learned these techniques. She said she saw a Doni Hyuga doing them, and she just copied him. She would be insanely surprised and would decide to teach Sakura how to fight more. And Mabuki was around a tuning level fighter, and she was getting beaten in taijutsu skills. And she would decide to keep this a secret from anyone, so Sakura would be fine. Sakura would also start unlocking more abilities of the Tenseigan. She would learn how to absorb chakra, make a black ball or two, and would learn the gentle fix and 64 palms. Now you might be saying, that's too much. She has like god eyes, like the Tenseigan. So now Sakura is around 8, and she just signed up for the academy. She would notice a boy named Sasuke and would fall for him. But this is where something slips. She wouldn't bully Naruto or have anything against him, really, because her mom and dad didn't really care that Naruto was the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, and so she didn't either. So, yay, no more bad Sakura. This is better Sakura. Now, soon they would do the tests that Aruka gives to all Academy students at the beginning to see where they're at. And Sakura would get a perfect score on the kunai aim thing. And on the exam, she would get a pretty good score of 98. And would almost be the top of her class. Now, when it came to the fighting, she would go up against Ino, and Ino would get completely destroyed. And Naruto and Sasuke would still have their thing, and Sasuke would still win. Now, Sakura would keep training her eyes, becoming much, much stronger, and would kind of become friends with Naruto. It's more like mutuals. They're kind of friends. And Sakura would just keep training until around 12, where they would get onto a team. Team 7. And Team 7 would stay the same, of course. And Naruto would pull the same prank on Kakashi. He hadn't changed too much. And so, they would all go up to the roof eventually. And they would all state their things. And Sasuke would still want revenge. Naruto would still want what he wanted, to become a Hokage. And Sakura's goal was to master her eyes and become the strongest Kunoichi of all. Now, Kakashi wouldn't be too pleased with Sasuke's goal, but would be pleased with Naruto's and Sakura's. And would tell them to meet at the specific location and to not eat, or you will regret it. And of course, Sakura wouldn't eat. The next day would come. They would all meet and wait, and they would all talk to each other, waiting for Kakashi. They would wait for around an hour, like usual, and Kakashi would show up again. He would say he was on his past life, and yeah. Now, they didn't believe it, but the bell test was already starting, and Kakashi said go. Now, Sakura wouldn't go into a bush, neither would Naruto. Only person who would was Sasuke. Now, Sakura would immediately just rush Kakashi, and Kakashi would be overwhelmed. He did not know that Sakura would be this powerful, and would eventually, in a few seconds, take off part of his headband, revealing his Sharingan. Now, Sasuke would be quite shocked, but not Sakura, and Sakura would go up to Kakashi's, bleed blitzing him, and absorbing some of his chakra from him. Now, Kakashi would be insanely surprised and would be drained, but could still fight, and would try to fight Sakura to his best of his ability, but would get absolutely destroyed. And eventually would get punched into a tree and would be knocked out. Sakura had won by a long shot. Now, Naruto and Sasuke were absolutely surprised. Sakura had never even shown this amount of power in public. She had shown a lot of potential around a tuning, maybe, yeah, or a low Jonin level, but never this amount of power. Sakura was just out of this world and was above Kakashi by a long shot. And it really drove Naruto and Sasuke to get stronger. They wanted to surpass her. They couldn't let her be stronger than them. And yeah, they would take Kakashi to the hospital, and he would have to pass them because Sakura beat him. So yeah, Kakashi would give the thumbs up, and they would pass, and they would start missions. Now, they would give a few D-rank missions and stuff, and Kakashi had told Lord Third about Sakura's power, so they would actually get a C-rank mission before Land of Waves. Now, through most of this, they would be training for that 1 month period, and Sakura would increase her power by a little bit, but it was mostly Sasuke and Naruto who increased their power. Because they were so driven because of Sakura, they would actually get way above where they were at in the Land of Waves. And Sasuke would be at his tuning levels part, and before he learned Chidori, that, and Naruto would be at his tuning level part, so they would be much stronger and more capable. And Sasuke had unlocked his Totoma way. Now this is just a much stronger team, Team 7, and when they would eventually get a C-rank mission from a bridge builder named Tazuna. Now Tazuna would walk into the mansion again and would say the same thing about the Team 7, but Team 7 knew that they were adequate and wouldn't really say anything. And mostly it would go the same until they would be walking down the path that they were walking originally, and they would spot a puddle. Now, this puddle they would instantly notice. But Sasuke and Naruto wouldn't, but Sakura would. And would realize that it was not been raining for a few days. And would probably realize that this was a genjutsu. Now, the Demon Mist Brothers would come up in, but Sakura would speed blitz them and just take down one of them, and the other would try to go for Kakashi, but Kakashi would catch it this time, the chain, and they would be dealt with pretty quickly, almost instantly. And they would tie them up, and yeah, pretty much the same thing would happen, and they would go on their merry way. Now, they would walk around a path, walk upon it, and they would hear a swinging, and Kakashi would say duck, and they would, barely missing the thing, the blade, yeah. And Zabuza would be all tough, and Kakashi would be like, you should stay back, guys. But Sakura would instantly say no, and pretty much try to go up to Zabuza. Zabuza, of course, would grab his sword and try to kill Sakura with one swing. But Sakura would just catch the sword, and Zabuza would be very, very shocked upon this. Could a kid catch his sword? That was impossible. But it wasn't impossible for Sakura. She had the Tenseigan, of course. And Sakura would ball up her fist, her hand, and punch Zabuza in the gut, making him really hurt, making him go flying back a few feet. Now, Zabuza would try his best, but would be easily beaten by Sakura within a few seconds, and most of his chakra would get absorbed. And Haku would do the same exact thing, or at least try to, which Sakura would allow her to, because, yeah, it's going to the enemy, it's not going to her. She's going to allow it to happen, even if she does notices it. And Zabuza would be brought back up, and Kakashi will realize that the tracking nin probably wasn't a tracking nin, and probably was with him. And yeah, eventually everything would go around the same, with Sakura having the same chakra control as usual, and Naruto and Sasuke actually having much better chakra control, and would actually be able to do it within a day. Finish the thing. But Naruto would never meet Haku. And yeah, so when Zabuza and Haku come, Kakashi says to take on Haku, all three of them, and he would take on Zabuza. Now, Kakashi would obviously have the upper edge against Zabuza because he did not know about the genjutsus this time of him, and Kakashi would start beating down Zabuza. Now, panning to the fight of Haku versus the rest of Team 7. Team 7 would be destroying them, and yeah, Sakura would be mostly destroying them, and Sakura would just be too fast for Haku at all. And Haku would eventually be defeated, and Kakashi was about to kill Zabuza, so he would go in the way of the attack. But Naruto would not learn the life lesson of to protect the people that you love with everything you have. Yeah, the Haku thing. So that would be a much different Naruto, I guess. And Zabuza would actually just get killed off by Kakashi, because he was already running low out of chakra, and yeah, Zabuza would just get killed, and Haku too. And when Gato Men would show up, Sakura would make a bunch of clones, and Naruto would too, and they would just scare off them, but wouldn't let Gato leave, and Gato would be beaten to death by the people he had wronged, the whole village. and they would go back to Konoha. And that's where I'm going to be leaving this part off, guys. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, please like. And got any more video ideas for me? As I said in the beginning, comment them down below. And, yeah, roll outro. Bye.
Play like Backstreet. Born a man if you ask me. Wanna get drunk and nasty. Wanna get drunk and nasty. Wanna get drunk and nasty. Wanna get drunk and nasty.